We start a new series, How Do Expert Manages It? We invite an expert faculty to give their views on one particular subject. It will be very useful to the practicing gynecologist. So please watch this video. Now since it is available on the YouTube, you can watch it whenever the time permits you. Our today's topic is how I do cesarean section. It is presented by Dr. Bina Trivedi. Dr. Bina Trivedi is a senior obstetrician and gynecologist from Rajkot and in private practice since last 25 years. She has authored 7 books with a team published by JP Publications. She is a past president of Rajkot Obstetrics and Gynec Society, past president Rajkot Menopause Society. She has attended a number of nationals and state level conferences as faculty. She regularly gives talk on life after 40, adolescence problems, and pre and postnatal classes for public and patients.
We, the obstetricians, are blessed by the Almighty God to give us the surgery of lower segment cesarean section. This is the only surgery in surgical fraternity which is performed on 2 pulsatile human beings, the mother and the fetus. Today I describe how I do lower segment cesarean section at my hospital. Indications, prerequisites, anesthesia, trolley making, assistance duty, consents, etc. are known to every one of us. So, not describing it today and starting with the skin incision. I would like to do catheterization of the patient after she is anesthetized to make her more comfortable. After painting and draping, I put financial incision, that is transverse incision, or you may call it a bikini cut. Financial incision should be made in a curvilinear fashion 2 to 3 cm above the pubic symphysis or hairline, with the help of lateral apices of the incision smiling up. This transverse incision associated with less postoperative pain and it is cosmetically more acceptable. It has low risk of long-term disabilities like wound disruption and hernia. After skin is cut, subcutaneous tissue and fat are stretched with the fingers and mops, and if any oozing vessels, then caught with the artery forceps that can be tackled afterwards. Now anterior rectus sheath is seen, cut in the midline 2 to 3 cm, catch hold with 2 Alice's forceps to lift it up, and by blunt and sharp dissection, dissect it transversely at both the sides from underlying rectus muscle. Now rectus muscles are stretched vertically from right to left side. During this time, try to prevent damage to superficial epigastric or any other perforating vessels between rectus muscle and fascia to minimize risk of subcutaneous hematoma formation. Once sheath is mobilized, enter the peritoneum by blunt dissection, maybe with the artery forceps or your finger, and cut it open vertically. During this time, the entry should be high enough to prevent any accidental damage to adherent or higher bladder. Once parietal peritoneum is opened, assistant insert Doyen's bladder retractor to safeguard it. Vesico-uterine fold of visceral peritoneum is grasped with the forceps at lower uterine segment. Elevate it and make a cut and extend it laterally with the fingers. Inferior portion of this peritoneal fold is again elevated from the lower uterine segment and Doyen's retractor is repositioned to keep the bladder clear of the surgical field. Uterine incision is made at lower uterine segment 2 cm below the upper edge of vesico-uterine fold. It is made sharply with a scalpel, transversely in the midline, and it is down enough to reach up to the innermost layer of uterine musculatures, but not incising the amniotic membrane. This will prevent any accidental cut over fetal presenting part. And then the incision is extended laterally with the help of finger and artery forceps. So the stretching of the incision bluntly will prevent cutting of the lateral uterine vessels which enters at the corner of the uterine edge. Once uterus is opened and amniotic membrane is ruptured, assistant do the suction of the amniotic fluid to keep the field visible. And now I am placing palm of my dominant hand in lower uterine cavity to hold the fetal head, and assistant will remove the Doyne's bladder retractor so that I can elevate and do flexion of the fetal head and baby is delivered gently. Do not hurry to clamp the cord at this point. Let the pediatrician do oronasal suction of the baby and allow more blood to travel from placenta to fetus. Then cord is doubly clamped and baby is handed over to pediatrician. When baby is coming out in this new world, anesthetist has already pushed syntocinon in the drip and noted the birth time. Meanwhile, assistant is ready with 6 Alice's forceps to catch hold the uterine edge, 1 pair of Alice to be applied at each corner of the uterine incision, and another 2 Alice should be in upper and lower border of the uterine incision. Now wait for the third stage of labor to take its natural course. Meanwhile, I take 1 figure of 8 stitches at both the corner of the uterine incision to tie the vessels entering from the corner of the incised edge from laterally. It will reduce the blood loss and prevent broad ligament hematoma by extension of any vessels laterally. Once uterus will tonically retract, placenta will emerge like an umbrella. Remove it by gentle cord traction aided by fundal massage. Spontaneous removal of the placenta assisted with uterine massage associated with less chance of postoperative endometritis and maternal blood loss compared to manual removal of the placenta. Once placenta is delivered, uterine cavity should be checked to ensure it is empty and there is no trauma. And then uterus is exteriorized. Once uterus is exteriorized, it is cleaned from inside with help of sterile mop and any remaining piece of membranes removed. Meanwhile, anesthetist has given injection methargine and prostadine as per the need. This exteriorization of the uterus does allow better visualization of the stitch line, adnexa, fundus of the uterus, and pouch of Douglas for any pathology. And it is also helpful to treat any PPH if it is there. For uterine closure, I use double layer technique for more secure scar. Both the angle of the uterine edge we have already secured by taking stitches. So now we suture the uterus transversely from left to right. First layer by taking continuous locking stitches with full thickness myometrium edge, excluding the decidua. This locking is to secure hemostasis. Then second layer, continuous transverse to bury the first layer, and I also take extra stitches for any bleeding vessels. During uterine stitches, decidual exclusion is important to avoid endometrial inversion at the scar site. It is also believed to cause incomplete scar healing and maybe scar endometriosis in future. The suture material I use is number 1, delayed absorbable, polyglycolic or polyglactin suture material. It is useful because as after the delivery, postnatally uterus involutes. So if any non-absorbable sutures are there, it may loosen and the loop of thread may remain present in the pelvis for longer time. After uterus is closed, attention should be given to look at both the adnexa, pouch of Douglas, row area of the peritoneal reflection below the stitch line adjacent to the bladder bed. Paracolic gutter should be checked and cleaned, all the clots removed from the pelvis, MOPS count, and uterus is repositioned in the pelvis, and then proceed to close the abdomen. No need to close visceral peritoneum. Parietal peritoneum is just approached by continuous stitches vertically. No need to stitch rectus muscles unless any blood vessels required to be stitched. Then comes sheath. Rectus sheath is closed transversely by continuous locking stitches by the same suture material, that is delayed absorbable, which we used previously. Subcutaneous tissue closed with absorbable plain catgut number 10 in a woman with more than 2 cm of subcutaneous fat. The point is to obliterate the dead space and support the skin layer for good apposition. Then I close the skin with subcuticular stitches with the help of Ethylone 10 on straight needle. It is for less immediate postoperative pain and cosmetically it is more appealing. At the end, sterile dressing is kept, vagina is cleaned, and patient is shifted to recovery room. Carry home message. During the surgery, gentle handling and respect of tissue, together with meticulous attention to hemostasis, are essential and important. Anatomical knowledge should be thorough in order to avoid unplanned damage. Your assistant should be well versed with your style of surgery for smooth running. Keep all the emergency measures ready in OT to tackle any untoward circumstances. Before closing the abdomen, always count the MOPS and instruments. I keep catheter for 24 hours. I never allow any relative to stay inside the OT. Proper antibiotic and post-operative care is utmost important for any surgery. At the end, I am highly obliged and thankful to Dr. Sudhir Shah for giving me the platform and guiding me to take part in this academic video. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bina Trivedi, for a very interesting and informative talk on our day-to-day practice cesarean section. Friends, please like and share this link to your friends, colleagues, and postgraduate students.